I'm curious what pushed you to say, I need help. I can't do it myself.
What we did is we looked at our outside area for our competitors and kind of say, hey, how big are they? We have some in our area that are 100 or 300 employees. And so to us, we said, well, wait a minute, if we're only 12 and they're 100 and there's some that are 300, why can't we do it? We can do it too. So we went from 12 to about 45 today. So about another 5 years from that time frame.
Hey guys, Damian Stevens, host of MSP Mindset, and I am blessed to be live and in person at GrowCon 2024, and I'm very excited to be with Kevin Barros, who is the CEO of The Computer Company.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what brought you to GrowCon? What were you hoping to learn or get out of this?
Yeah, so we came to GrowCon to kind of meet some other MSPs, get some new ideas, get some new direction and vision, just to kind of see what the space is like and what's going on in the space. We just like to be current with what's going on. So we attend a lot of events like GrowCon. And
so share with everybody, if you don't mind, about where are you in terms of head count?
Yeah, so we're currently about 45 folks.
Okay.
So I can give you a little history about the company if you like.
Yeah, how did you get there?
Yeah, so I kind of started on my own originally, just a solo, just for fun, making a few extra bucks, nothing special.
I think we can almost all relate to that, yeah.
And then as it kind of developed and kind of grew up a little bit more into a business, we decided, let's do a first acquisition. And so we did a first acquisition of another single person MSP. And then
how long this was in it? Because you went from I did this one person thing for fun to all of a sudden I'm doing an acquisition.
Yeah, so that was about a 3-year when I did my first acquisition, because I was back in 2017.
Wow.
And then I did a second acquisition in 2020, which probably wasn't the best of times to buy an acquisition, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But 2020, we bought a company and there were about 12 folks at the time. So we went from 12 to about 45 today. So about another 5 years from that time frame. So yeah.
Now, is that mostly acquisition or mostly organic?
Since that 12, it's been all organic.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a lot of help from Marketopia, from the marketing efforts, a lot of long nights and weekends, which is always there, but it's just doing right by the client, and they'll keep on giving you recommendations, so a referral.
This episode is brought to you by Cerbosity. I started Cerbosity because I was an MSP that lost data because I thought backup success meant I could recover. And boy, was I wrong. If you've ever been there or anywhere close, you know how much your stomach turns over the thought of not being able to recover any version of the data for your client. Now, naively, I set off to build a better mousetrap and build a better backup product, until finally I realized it's all about the people and the process. So you have a choice to make. Do nothing and bury your head in the sand, or level up your processes. Now you can do that by either hiring Cerbosity, where we'll take all the workload of managing backups off of your plate and test your backups daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Or you can keep the tech stack you have in place, your existing backup and DR provider, and steal my 18 years of knowledge and download that process and add that to your operational maturity today. So you did it kind of backwards. And what I mean by that is I feel like most people grow organically to 12 or so and then think about acquisitions, and you acquired a lot of the growth to 12 and then grew organically a ton.
Yeah. So the reason why we did that was a little different. So when you go from 1 to getting your first employee, it's tough because you're giving away a lot of that bottom line to get that second person.
Yeah.
And then what you notice is that even if you have a second person, it's still not, you still can't do the HR, you still can't do the accounting, the payroll, the help desk, plus the on-road. It's just kind of tough. And so we said, it's probably best to focus on a company that has a base, start with that, and then that way we don't have to go through those hurdles and we can kind of improve from there. So,
Gotcha. Are all your acquisitions in the same geographic area?
Yes. So they've always been in our area, which is in Connecticut. So everybody's kind of stayed in our area for now. So maybe one day we'll look for an acquisition just slightly out of state.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say that because most people operate one in geo, but there's only so many acquisition targets.
Correct.
Right. Interesting. So you said one of your takeaways is you could grow faster. I think everybody could. I'm curious, what would that look like? Like, what are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, so we want to get more into the compliance side. So we're trying to get our CMMC Level 2 certification today. We've had a SOC certification, SOC 2 Type 2 for a while. So we're trying to get a little bit more, kind of get those clients in and kind of say, hey, we can kind of help you. If we did it, we can do it for you as well. And we also do a lot of hosting ourselves. So we're a data center out in Connecticut.
Okay.
And so we've now expanded out to Vegas to do some co-location for now. But we'd love to expand that Vegas side and kind of target people a little bit and say, hey, we can do your hosting. We could do your backups. We could do your DR. Let's talk about it. So, so kind of create some new opportunities.
Interesting. I imagine this is probably a big question, but what's been your biggest challenge on your journey from 1 to 40, what is it, 45?
Yeah, so it's, I guess it's all the meetings and appointments that you just don't get told how many times you have to talk to a client or how many times you have to talk to a prospect before locking them in, or how many follow-ups for a project that you got to do or reminders. And there's a lot of meetings we do that we're trying to kind of cut down a little bit and say, hey, let's come up with a better plan, a little bit more efficient. So,
what surprised you about that?
I guess it's kind of a dreamer's mindset. You kind of think you'll talk to one person, they're just going to say, yeah, we understand, let's do it. And in reality, it's not. It's about when's their budget? When do they have funds to do something like that? What's their timeline? Are they busy? CPA is really busy from January to April, but not so busy the other time. So it's kind of finding when their busy season is and what's not, and also kind of explaining it in a non-technical way for folks to say, how does this add value to your organization? Does it give you a better bottom line? Does it improve efficiencies for employees? Like what's the key takeaway from it? Not just an extra cost. So,
yeah. What was your expectation, like number of meetings versus what you found to be reality? Can you help me understand that? You're saying there's a lot more meetings and a lot more follow-ups than you expected.
Yeah. So you mean in terms of
with prospects? I think if I'm understanding you, you're saying it's a lot more follow-ups.
So prospects are a little bit different. Yeah. So prospects are kind of unique situations now because they've been through an MSP or two before. They've kind of gone through it, and so now they're a little bit scared and hesitant to say, hey, are you just another person? It's another quick date, or can we go somewhere a little bit more serious, and can you help me kind of grow? And so they're a little bit more cautious, and so they want to kind of prove yourself a little bit more. So that takes a few extra meetings to kind of prove it. Hey, we'll visit your site. Why don't you come visit us? You can check out the data center. We could be a little bit more flexible on the pricing or the packages, how we can kind of do things, but that kind of took us a little bit by surprise initially. So,
what kind of difference did you notice? Did you expect it would just be 1 or 2 and then it's 10? Or I'm just kind of curious So
we kind of expected originally to be 2 or 3 meetings. Yeah. In reality, some of these could take a year or longer to actually close a new deal, or to even get a big project approved could take a year. And so we never would have thought it could be that long. Yeah. And so what ends up happening is they finally approve it. You're super excited to do this project or this onboarding. And in reality, you got 20 others already scheduled at that moment in time. So now you're trying to say, well, I don't want to say no to them. So, because it took a year to get here. So how do we do this workload a little bit? So,
yeah. So does that become mostly a service scheduling and resource balancing contention issue?
It does. So now we're starting to get a little bit better for scheduling to kind of say, hey, listen, November is really bad for us. Do you want to do December, or hey, let's pull it in a little bit. Maybe we can do it in October and knock this out for you while things are a little bit quiet, and we can kind of focus on your project a little bit more uniquely. So clients really appreciate that one now. So we're trying to get more automated to kind of show schedules for clients, but we haven't quite automated everything yet. So
I asked you about what's your biggest challenge. Let me ask about the biggest opportunity. What do you think the biggest opportunity in the market for you is right now?
Yeah, so for us, it's compliance by far. Compliance like HIPAA has been around for quite a bit. CMMC is something that's new, coming out starting really in 2025. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of MSPs are taking that as serious as they really should. They kind of see that, hey, we don't have to comply to CMMC now to certify these guys, so we're just not going to do it. When in reality, if you actually lean into it and you eat that cost and you invest that time and money, it could actually be a huge opportunity for them to kind of grow and expand. Because it's easy to say to a client, hey, we have the certification that you need. I think I can help you out and do this. It's very difficult when you're not having anything and saying, I could do it for you, but I chose not to do it myself. Like, so what's the value in that? So we kind of see it as a huge opportunity for those that do want to make that jump, do that jump, and then you're going to be head and shoulders above everyone else. So
I'm curious, is that because you think this will open up new markets, or because your existing clients are faced with this or need this?
So we're in the Northeast, so we have a lot of defense workers for CMMC, for example, that they have to comply to it. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of them are nervous about it. And so for us to be able to explain to them, hey, we're certified in this, we know what we're doing, we can help you, it kind of makes their day-to-day a little bit lighter and a little bit less stressful by doing that. Whereas opposed to if we don't, they're kind of worried about that auditor coming, every year or every 3 years in the beginning. But they're worried about that auditor. Are we going to pass, yes or no? What does it look like? Whereas if you do it, they kind of have. So we kind of see it as a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of gain those clients over time. So
I want to go back to the part where you talked about you've grown organically from 12 to like 45 over about what time period?
That took about 4 years. So
first of all, most people never get to 45. Second, that kind of growth in 4 years is really impressive, right? So what the heck are you doing?
So we're a little bit unique. So we have a data center out, which makes us a little bit unique to attract customers to do some hosting. And we can kind of brag to clients that we're truly an all-in-one type of MSP. We have developers on site to do development, so we can kind of create auto reporting or processes to kind of streamline client day-to-day tasks. So that's been a huge striving help. Marketing has been a humongous help. I cannot even express how important that is to us, which is really, really nice. And then we've also been developing a portal for our clients to kind of understand their IT a little bit. So it's a page we developed that ties into all our vendors. Hey, when do you need to replace that PC? What subscriptions do you have that are coming up due? What do your tickets look like? And so they kind of feel like they have control of that system, even though we're really supporting them behind the scenes, so, which has been helpful. So all of that really kind of, I think, conveyed to that success so far. So, and hopefully into the future.
Yeah. There's got to be a little more to that, right? All in one. I mean, you mentioned marketing too. How much of a role has that played?
Marketing is huge, and so it was a shift to us. A lot of MSPs either think they could do marketing on their own.
Yeah, they're wrong.
They're 100% wrong. And it's funny because we're telling our clients, hey, don't do IT yourself. You need to trust an outsider like us who really know. But then internally, we're going to go and say, oh yeah, we could do marketing too, which is kind of funny. Yeah. So we acknowledge that we are not marketing people. It's a different mindset. It's a different skill set. And so when we partner with Marketopia, we just have to trust their system. Of course, we give our opinions and our thoughts and, all that matters, but we just have to trust the pros to do it at that point in time. So for it. But yeah, marketing has been number one by far for how helpful. You can't grow if nobody knows who you are.
That's right. But a lot of us MSPs, we never get past that. So I'm curious, what pushed you to say, I need help. I can't do it myself.
Yeah, so what we did is we looked at our outside area for our competitors and kind of say, hey, how big are they? When you see your surrounding people and they're all 5 employees or 10 employees, that's what you kind of expect. That's what you think the limit is at that point in time. But grateful or not grateful, depending how you want to look at it. So we have some in our area that are 100 or 300 employees. And so to us, we said, well, wait a minute, if we're only 12 and they're 100 and there's some that are 300, why can't we do it? We can do it too. So we kind of made that push, and we weren't afraid to increase the prices or set those pricings that we needed to kind of cover the marketing at that point in time. So, which has been a huge success. And so for the future now, we're going to be doing more and more events ourselves to kind of get some sort of engagement with folks a little bit, get them a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more experience. So we're kind of excited for that. So
now, there's one thing saying, okay, I need the help. And there's, in my experience, another saying I'm willing to put in the time, money, and effort to actually do it. Yeah. So how did you cross that chasm?
Yeah, so I actually talked to I know a lot of business owners outside of the MSP space.
Nice.
And so I sat down with them and I kind of said, hey, they're saying that I need to spend X on this marketing thing. They're not guaranteeing me a return on this.
Right.
I don't even know if I'll ever make the money, if it's like a 7-year break even, like when's the break even on this? And they all kind of said the same thing, like you don't know. And that's just part of the business and you just have to accept that. You're going to have to just do it, hope on faith. Don't get discouraged after a month or 2 months. It might take 3 or 4 months or 6 months, but just stick with it and eventually you'll see those results. So we just put our head down, didn't ask any questions, and then hoped it worked out. So far so good. So which is kind of exciting.
And you said you did about how long?
How long?
The marketing?
The marketing we've been doing now since 21. So we've been doing 3 years of it.
Okay.
So I will say, hindsight's 2020. If I knew what I knew today, I would have made much more changes back then. I would have pushed a little bit harder, gotten the full-time caller sooner. I would have done the socials a little bit easier, but we're here. We learned our lesson, so we're trying to move on and trying to do better from here. So
that's awesome. What advice would you give to yourself from 5 years ago or 7 years ago? Or
yeah, so before I took over, when I first purchased my, in 2020, the 12 employee MSP, I was really nervous about acquisitions because I said, you know what, I'm purchasing someone else's problems and successes at the same time.
Yeah.
And I should have just done it and just, gotten the courage to just do it and pull the trigger. And sure, there would have been bumps on the road, absolutely, like anything, but you'll ride them out eventually. You'll figure it out eventually, and you would have gotten through it. So I probably could have been bigger if I had just pulled the trigger a little bit sooner. So,
yeah, I think there's a lot to say to that courage because it looks like a mountain when you're standing next to it, even if it's really not that big. It's a small hill.
Yeah. And it's tough, especially with acquisitions, because you're trying to assess something that somebody else built. They have a very big emotional attachment to it, so you don't want to disrespect that too. There's a financial aspect to it, then funding and lawyers involved, and there's just a ton of fun with it. So, but if you go through it all, it's worth it. So
what's your take on the M&A space? Do you think that you'll do most of your growth in the next, let's say, 5 years organically or acquisitions or?
Yeah, we're hoping for it to be mostly organic. We're always looking for acquisitions. We don't want to overpay, of course. So we don't want to take a stumble just because we're trying to run so fast. So, but we do think in the beginning, in the short term, it'll still be organic. And then if you're talking about maybe 10 years out, we'll do a couple more acquisitions then at that point and jump it. We want to hold off our acquisitions until we know for certain that we could absorb them with. It's not just the financial, it's the talent, it's the skill set, it's the tools that they use versus us, the cultures that are different, the billing is completely different than that other company. So we got to kind of have a good plan for how do we merge all those things together before just pulling the trigger on it. Otherwise, it's disaster for both companies at the end of it. So we're trying to be cautious.
Yeah, you speak like somebody that's done acquisitions before and learned. It's not as easy as it sounds, right?
Yeah. But it's exciting though. It's always exciting. So.
Yeah. Well, when your money's on the line, when you're taking the risk, it's going to be exciting, I suppose.
Yeah. So if it's somebody else's money, it's much easier to pull the trigger on. So
right.
But when it's yours, you want to do right a little bit by it. So
right. Right. What are you most excited about right now in your business or in the industry?
Yeah, I really like tech in general. So I love the AI stuff. I know that's still very early on. I know it's a little bit overplayed and outspoken a little bit too much, but I'm kind of excited to see where that tech kind of goes, what impact that has to our clients and doesn't have. And I'm also kind of interested in seeing just how the vendors do, which ones kind of stick around, which ones don't, which ones get acquired. Kaseya and ConnectWise have been acquiring quite a bit of recent, so it kind of seems like they're trying to do their own platform and getting everything in-house as much as possible. So
yeah. One of the things you're excited about is AI.
Yeah.
What's your take on AI? Should we be waiting because it's not quite there? Are we on the other side? Maybe if you're not already doing it, you're late.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. So all of our clients, we're a big Microsoft Copilot shop. And so we always tell our clients, purchase 1 or 2 licenses, even if it's for the key CEO or VP or CFO or whoever it is, just purchase 1 or 2 just for them. play with it, see what it's like. At least get involved, dip your toes into it.
Right.
I wouldn't give it to all the employees yet because you don't have those safeguards in place. And of course, everybody searches what does such and such make or what's their bonus like. So you don't want AI to kind of tell you that information to the employees. But at least you should dip into it from a high-end side, know what it does, know what it's capable of doing, and just try to see how it can kind of work out with your business and stuff. So, but I think it's still a little early on for it. But I'd like to see, early worm gets the bird sometimes. So.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're interested in AI and perhaps investing in CMMC. So it sounds like you got quite a few big initiatives.
Yeah, definitely.
You've accomplished more than most. Unfortunately, more than most people will as an MSP, at least statistically speaking, and far faster. For anybody that's listening, is there a gift that you would give? And what I mean by that is is there something where you're like, hey, if you're going through this, or if you're experiencing this, or if you're struggling with this, I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, so we're always happy to help anybody we talk to. The biggest thing I could tell you is listen to your clients. Your clients will tell you what they want. Don't force something down their throat. Just listen to them. They're going to tell you what their struggles are. If you can get that partnership, that trust, by saying, hey, that struggle that you're always having, I can help out with that. And maybe it's this solution, maybe it's not. Maybe you just do it for them. But that really sets you apart at that point in time. If you're just looking at your clients as a money-making opportunity, then I think you kind of fail that mark, and you're going to kind of see that. You have to show that value to them. So one of our clients that we always talk to, for example, they're manufacturing, and they wanted to do manufacturing overnight, but they were afraid of their machines catching on fire, which is a reasonable expectation. And so I said, you know what, it's not an IT thing at all, but we have some other manufacturers. Clearly, one of them must be doing this. Let me get you in contact with them.
Yeah.
The two of you guys can connect. You guys can see maybe there's something that you can help each other out with. And just by putting that other company in front of them, they were so grateful for it. So, of course, now when I make a recommendation or a suggestion, they're just going to take that. So, yeah, listen to your customers, understand what their struggles are, even if it's not IT specific. Maybe one of your other customers can kind of help them out, and you still look like the hero at the end of that. So, which is great. So,
I love that. Let me flip that question around.
Yeah.
There are people watching this. Is there an ask you have that I'm struggling with this, or I'd love to learn more of this, or I'd like more of this in what we're doing?
An ask. Oh boy, that's a good one. I don't know on this one. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I would ask is more from our vendors. I think our vendors, they do cost increases. They give all the bad news to us, and they're like, all right, you guys tell the clients that at the end of the day, because we only have to tell our MSP friends. We don't have to tell the end users that. And I wish our vendors would kind of pick it up a little bit more and understand that you can't just tell an MSP it's 10% more. You can say it to one MSP, but we have to tell it to 200 people or 300 people.
Yep.
And it's not that easy to kind of do it, to kind of do those things. Same thing with policy changes, some of them. The NCE program, for example, for Microsoft was so popular when that came out. But, telling a client that was flexible before, hey, you can't be flexible anymore, otherwise you're going to pay a penalty, and you're kind of stuck with, it just looks bad. And they're kind of putting their partners a little bit more at line. So if I could ask for anything, it'd be for our vendors to kind of do a little bit of a wake-up call and understand the MSP struggle a little bit, because the MSPs want to grow with them, but if you don't give them that tools and you're setting them down, then that kind of beats them up a little bit. But
well, I feel like I could ask you questions for so much more, but yeah. I know we don't have that much time. I just want to thank you for taking your valuable time out of the event here at GrowCon and for being on MSP Mindset.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So it was nice talking with you.